Hello, everyone. Welcome to RhythmOne's webinar on influencer marketing benchmarks and best practices. We have two experts on influencer marketing presenting today, Katie Paulson, Senior Director of Brand Solutions, and Caitlin Caranto, Senior Director of Influencer Marketing. We will be taking questions at the end of the presentation. You can type your questions into the chat window, or you can tweet us your question using the hashtag #OneRInfluencer. You can see that hashtag at the bottom of each page in the presentation as a reminder. I'll now turn the presentation over to Katie Paulson. I hope you find it informative.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for your time today. I'm just going to quickly go through what we're actually here to do for you today. At the toppest level, we really just want to give you an idea about the influencer marketing space and how you can really be successful in the space based off of learnings that we've had over the last 3 years of executing campaigns. First thing I'm going to cover is the report methodology for our first half 2015 Influencer Marketing Benchmarks report. Next, we'll go through the definitions and results just so you'll have a better understanding of what we were actually talking about throughout the report and the results that we actually showed. And finally, we're going to go through the best practices that we've gathered across the 3 years that we've been working in the space and hopefully, again, help you to be able to execute influencer marketing campaigns on your end successfully. So taking a step back, I just want to make sure everybody understands what we're really here talking about. So I'm just going to go through sort of a flow of how this influencer marketing program could work. This is sort of in its most basic form. Obviously, there's all sorts of ways to actually make it work. But at the most basic point, we're executing campaigns working with influencers. So here you can see Best Friends for Frosting. She's a lifestyle influencer who focuses around food, home decor, home entertaining, a little bit of style. And you can see she has a large social following, right? That's an important piece there. We want to work with influencers that are actually influential. So you can see she has 60,000 followers on Pinterest, almost 30,000 on Facebook, and so on. So we work with Best Friends for Frosting to actually create content on behalf of a brand. In this case, it was Betty Crocker, and she created a recipe, made these adorable little cupcakes, took beautiful imagery with her, with her camera, obviously. She's a photographer on the side. And then there's obviously text here as well. So she's really just portraying, taking the ingredient and just portraying it in a beautiful way. And that's actually showcased through a blog post. But we don't stop there. We want to make sure we're utilizing her full social clout. So she's actually then posting to Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook here. You can see it's the same imagery that was used in the blog post, but just extending the message to her full social sphere. And then we want to make sure as many people are actually seeing this as possible. So we'll distribute the content. In this case, through an influencer fixed footer. This is one of RhythmOne's rich media units. And you can see it has sort of like a little menu on the left-hand side, and we take the content from Best Friends for Frosting. She's part of the menu. And you can see the content's actually distributed on the right-hand side. So users can click through here. They can click through to the different bloggers, and then it clicks out to their actual blog content so that you can see just a little bit more about it. And we're actually distributing that across the little custom channel that we've created specifically for the brand. So we're finding other food, lifestyle, recipe, women's interest types of sites, and we're distributing the content there. So that's the real basic way of actually executing these campaigns is obviously, we can do this across an Instagram-specific campaign or a Vine-specific or YouTube or whatever it might be. But this is a real basic form of actually engaging an influencer to create custom content on behalf of a brand or, alongside a brand, distributing it socially, and then taking it a step further and distributing through a rich media unit. Hope that makes sense to everybody. I want to quickly go through the report methodology again. RhythmOne has released 2 influencer marketing benchmarks reports. We did one covering the 2014 year that we had executed campaigns, as well as the first half of 2015. And across the first half of 2015, we worked across 10 advertiser verticals. You can see the CPG space was most popular for us, both across the percentage of programs that we actually executed, as well as the percentage of paid media. So the budgets were biggest in the CPG space as well. And then we actually executed, the first half of 2015, we utilized 217 influencers to create content, to distribute content for us. Now I'm going to hand it over to Caitlin Caranto. She's going to talk about what actually is earned media value, which is one of the key results that we focus on, and then shows just how we actually performed.
Great. Thanks, Katie. So before we get into those results, I think it's really important for all of us on this call to understand what exactly is earned media value. And by definition, what we consider earned media value is the media value garnered by actions taken by the audience because they enjoyed the content. I think that's just the most important thing here, is that these people that are engaging with this content are engaged because of the quality content that these influencers are creating. So to take a look at the results, on average, what we found in our first half of the year report is that for every $1 spent on sponsored content, there was $9.60 in earned media value. So this is a great looking number here, and we're also really excited because this is about $3 higher than what we saw for our reporting in 2014. So what we'll do over the next few slides is go through some of the different advertiser verticals that we've worked with, gone over what their earned media values are, and then why they're so successful. If you take a look here for the CPG food brands, again, for every $1 spent on sponsored content, we're seeing an average of $14.29 in earned media value. So, some key things on why these brands have been so successful is because they know who their target is, right? So these brands are looking to engage and work with mom influencers who have these very engaging audiences. We're having influencers create shareable content, whether that be meals, recipes, coupons, that their readers are looking to them as the experts for, and then therefore engaging with. We've done a lot of opportunities in this space where we have influencers creating multiple posts. So again, creating that brand awareness. And then again here, as you can see, this content is visually beautiful. Again, through recipe creation, it really creates that shareable content that you can share through Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. Another area of success for us has really been retail and apparel. So again, for every $1 spent on sponsored content, we're seeing about $10.48 in earned media value. Again, these brands know who their target is. They're working with a millennial audience. A big thing about retail is product. So we're able to give product to the influencers to style, to showcase, to engage with, which really makes a difference when talking to their audience. More often than not, these brands are also giving products to the influencers to give away to a reader, which obviously garners some great reader interaction there. Some really interesting things, again, about the retail and apparel space is that because their content is so visual, keep in mind, if you're handling the social channels for Gap, we're giving you content here to share on the Gap Instagram, on the Gap Facebook. These influencers love interacting directly with the brand, and then their readers also love to see when the brand is interacting directly with the influencer. Travel success. So this is really fun here. So again, for every $1 spent on sponsored content, we're seeing about $12.54 in earned media value. The fun thing about these travel campaigns is we're actually sending influencers to experience the locations that they're writing about. And I think that's why these travel campaigns are so successful. The influencers are experiencing it. They're sharing with their readers real time when they're at these destinations. Through their social channels, they're able to geo-target or geo-name where they are. So you're kind of following along real time with these influencers on their trip. You have to keep in mind, these readers look at these influencers, these vloggers, these Instagrammers as their friends. So they really feel like they're on vacation with their friends while these influencers are traveling, which is really, really great. So now that we've kind of taken a look at earned media value, everyone wants to know how. How can I do this for my brand? So what we'll do over the next few slides is go over kind of our best practices. What we'll start with is finding the right influencer, content ideation, brand ambassadors, giveaways, getting creative, social amplification, distribution units, and finally brand enthusiasm. So, before you even start kind of building out your campaign that Katie went over at the beginning of the presentation, what you want to do is you want to find your right influencer. And, for some brands, that's easy, and for some brands, that's a little intimidating. So what we do here is we've kind of broken out how to find your right influencer. And the first thing you want to do is define by passion. So what are you looking to, or who are you looking to reach? Are you looking to reach moms, millennials, foodies, maybe a combination of all three? But really what you want to do is define, by passion who you're looking to work with. Then by platform. So this is really interesting in here. So what you can do is figure out, how do you want to work with someone? Are you looking for just an influencer who's going to create a blog post for you? Are you looking to implement an Instagram campaign or a Facebook campaign? Is your brand looking to grow their Facebook? So that way you work with influencers who help you grow that. So there's, a lot of things to think in here. And then by voice. So this is kind of how we break out, influencers here. So first class is just that. So these are those, household names, the Joy the Bakers of the world who have, deals with Target, right? They're influencers that are now becoming almost celebrities. Then there are quality content creators, and these are awesome influencers to work with. They are established. They have a great community following. They have high-quality professional content. They're not quite household names yet, but they're on their way. And then we have buzz builders, and these are your everyday influencers. These are your influencers who are influential. They're just that. Their followings are up and coming. They're growing. But these are the influencers who post, recipes, and every time that recipe is posted, someone's creating it or someone's pinning it. People are going to them as experts. So, when you're putting together your campaign, ideally you're working with a mix of all three. Your first-class influencers, your quality content creators, your buzz builders. But again, it's really important to understand, what are you looking to achieve, who are you looking to work with, and then putting together, and finding the right influencer for you and your brand.
Great, thanks, Caitlin. So Katie, this is Katie. I'm going to take it back and go through the rest of the best practices. So Caitlin talked about sort of vetting the influencers for, based on passion and by the type that they are. But taking a step back from that, I think you also want to make sure that you're just getting through the masses, right? There's millions at this point, and how do you find the actual highest quality ones? So here at RhythmOne, we've come up with a formula. We call it the Emerge formula. We look at 7 key ingredients, as we search for influencers that we want to partner with and that brands are going to want to partner with. The first one is accelerated growth. So, they're determined to get a following and determined to have that following constantly growing, constantly being added to. Next is social power. So they have a large social following, and they're often, with posting to their social network, people are actually paying attention to it. So it's not just about having, a lot of uniques to a blog. It's about sort of having a vast presence across sort of the social network, social sphere. Third is viral distribution. So when they actually do create content, people pay attention. So it's not just about them sitting there creating a bunch of content. They're having people repin it, repost it, like it, tweet it. Obviously, if you're going to work with these people, you want to make sure that people are actually paying attention when they do create something socially. Consumer engagement. This is going to be where they're actually getting a response from their influencers. So more often than not, we try to have a giveaway involved in a lot of our campaigns. And you want to make sure you're utilizing an influencer that's going to get a response, people that are going to engage with the influencer, be excited when they're doing something or when they're offering a giveaway of some sort. Next is content expertise. So we don't want influencers that pretend like they're experts on everything. It's important to find an influencer who actually knows what they're talking about, and people see them as an expert, as they're looking to whether they're raising their children or cooking dinner or whatever it might be. Number 6 is aesthetically appealing. Obviously, we want to make sure that we're partnering with the influencers that have great looking, whether it's the blog or, their Instagram account is nice and clean and beautiful looking. Their logo is clean. They don't have a ton of ads covering a bunch of their content. So that's a really important piece, obviously, for us to partner with and for brands, to partner with through us. And then the last one is community leaders. So these aren't influencers who are doing this as a side job, right? This is their job. They're attending conferences. They're truly invested in sort of this influencer marketing movement. The next best practice I want to run through is content ideation. So now you have your influencers, right? You've picked them out of the millions. You've decided which ones you actually want to partner with. Now, what do you actually do with them? So there's a couple of different things to keep in mind here. You want to make sure that you're coming up with a strategy. So whether you're utilizing experts like us here at RhythmOne, we have a team of people that we get in a room every time we have a pitch or we have an RFP that we're working on for a client or a campaign that's come in the door. We make sure we're coming up with ways to actually utilize the influencers, right? What do we want them to actually do? This is a really great example here. This was for a printer that was trying to promote their app that allows you to print remote, right? So you could use a mobile app and print when you weren't at your actual printer. So you can see here, the strategy and the idea was to work with a bunch of different influencers from a variety of different categories. And that was a way to really show the printer come to life in a bunch of different ways. So on the left-hand side, it was more of a millennial type of blogger that created this little photo booth with our friends at a party. And then moving left to right, you can see that the next was a wedding DIY project that somebody created. It was more of like a craft-focused influencer. They created a wedding DIY project using the printer. In the middle, you can see this is one of our influencers that went to Fashion Week. So she actually captured the moments of Fashion Week utilizing the printer. Next was a travel-focused influencer. So she went on this really cool excursion, and she was able to capture all the moments and have them printed out waiting for her when she got home. And then finally, it was a family-focused mom influencer, and she created this family cookbook using the printer. So really, again, just brought the printer to life across a bunch of different things. This is a campaign that we probably had 15 to 20 rounds of ideation. It was constantly changing and evolving, but I think the end result was just a really, really great way to actually showcase the printer and to utilize all the different influencers. So coming up with the ideas, I think, is a really important piece. You want to have a strategy when you go to an influencer. You really don't want to just go to them and say, hey, this is the brand. What are you going to do with it? At the same time, you want to make sure you're not too married to that strategy. So you absolutely go to the influencer with some ideas of what you want to happen, right? How many posts, that type of thing. But you also want to make sure you do leave a little bit of room for their creativity and for their voice to shine through. So you're not going to get the best results if you go to an influencer and force them to do exactly this, right? Or push them to edit the copy that they just created so that it matches your brand voice better, right? The idea is that you're utilizing an influencer's voice here. You truly want the content to remain authentic to their brand and to their voice. So have ideas, have a strategy, but make sure it's just open to let their own ideas kind of shine through as you're actually creating the content with them. Next is brand ambassador programs. So you can see here, this is an example. We worked with Bakers Royale, and they were creating content, multiple pieces of content for a brand. So this sort of works on both sides of the coin. As you're executing an influencer campaign, it's much easier, whether you're the brand or the agency or whatever else, it makes it easier for you from an execution standpoint because you've already worked with the influencer. They understand the products better, right? They know how to spell Betty Crocker. They know what to say, what not to say. They know what the client's looking for. So it just makes that whole sort of, pre-story of getting them to understand the whole offering and the product and whatever else, it's already done because they've done it for you in the past. So they're able to do that multiple times. It really just makes it a much more efficient way to work with an influencer because you know them and they know you. The other side of it is that their followers are going to be much more open to the message because they've seen them post about this brand in the past, right? They really, truly understand that there's an affinity there because they've been posting about the same brand multiple times. So you really are able to spread the brand message better, and you're going to get a much better reaction from sort of their community because they truly believe that they're invested in this brand. Next is giveaways. So in this instance, we're not talking about anything super complex. I have here it's a low barrier to entry. It just means it's easy for the actual consumer to enter the giveaway. So you're going to get a lot higher entries because it's easy at the end of the day, right? We recommend doing a giveaway whenever you possibly can. It really just drives further engagement and gets people more invested. If people have a chance to win something, that's just the way this world works, they're much more likely to actually sit there and read it and engage with the influencer's content and with the brand. You want to keep it simple. I don't think the giveaways have to be super, super intense. Something that we've found is that, honestly, just cold, hard cash is a much better prize than anything else. A lot of brands have come and said, oh, we'd rather give them a year's supply of our product or, we want to do something really unique for them. At the end of the day, you're going to get a better response if you're able to just give away some sort of, Amex gift card or cash because they want to be able to do what they want with it. So we really just see a larger group of entries when you do it that way. Again, this isn't anything super crazy. I think just the other thing is that influencers can execute this. They can cover the rules and regulations. So I would just make sure you're pushing it as you work on influencer programs. The other side of this is doing things that are much more complex, right? Don't be afraid to utilize an influencer to sort of take this to the next level. Like I mentioned up front, these people, the ones we're working with, it's their full-time job. They totally understand the space. They have the presence to actually pull this stuff off. So as an example, on the left-hand side, this was an event that we worked with the blogger Skinny Confidential. We had her host a group of events across the country for Palm Breeze was launching this new drink. So she actually handled the RSVP. She created the playlist for the actual event. She was there at each event to just sort of be that presence. You know, she did a whole bunch of promotion on her own social channels and on her own blog. But just understand, I think sometimes you can sit there and pulling off an event can seem like a lot of work, and yes, there's work involved, but just understand that you can fall on an influencer to have them help execute that, and they do a really, really good job of it. The other side of the slide on the right-hand side, this is not a simple giveaway. This was a really complex contest that we ran, but we ran it utilizing influencers, and we used them to really push the excitement around the contest. So we actually had influencers each create their ideal RV road trip. This was for the clients Go RVing. So they each created their ideal RV road trip, and then we fed each idea into this Facebook app here where consumers could actually vote. And the really cool part about this is that we had two winners. We had the influencer that got the most votes was a winner, and we actually sent her on her dream RV trip. I think it just wrapped up, or she's actually on it as we speak. And then we actually had a winner from the voting pool. So we found that there was really a lot of excitement and a lot of social distribution because obviously the influencer wanted to win. So she was promoting it like crazy on her social channels. And then the voters wanted their influencer to win, so they were promoting it as well. So we just really saw a great amount of buzz around this campaign. We had almost 40,000 votes within a really short period of time. So definitely complex, but just again understand that you can use influencers to sort of really drive these contests as you see fit. Next is social amplification. I talked a little bit about it up front, and Caitlin mentioned that all of our successful campaigns in first half 2015 included this because you never want to have an influencer create content and then have it just live in one spot. So here you want to make sure you're utilizing the full social sphere of each influencer. So you can see on the top left-hand side, Kitchen Confidant created these adorable little like whoopie pie sprinkle creations and then distributed across all of their social channels. And same for the bottom here. Next is distribution units. So again, I talked a little bit about this up front at the first sort of flow chart that I showed you. But making sure if you're going to spend the time to create the content that as many people as possible are seeing it. So not just about it living on the influencer site or on the influencer social channel, but what about the rest of sort of the internet, right? So make sure you're getting the message across a bunch of different, whether it's other bloggers or just regular content sites. So the top here is a launchpad unit. This is one of RhythmOne's units. It's a full takeover of the page. Gap utilized it to actually showcase a bunch of influencer looks, as you can see. The bottom one is the influencer fixed footer from RhythmOne. This is actually a Payless campaign, and again, it's a menu of the different influencers and the content that they've created. And on the left-hand side is a native distribution unit. So it's actually matching the look and feel of the site, and this is obviously a mobile version of it. So just whatever way you want to do it, there's lots of different opportunities, but just make sure you're using some sort of extra distribution of the content that you've worked so hard to create with an influencer. The last best practice is brand enthusiasm. So Caitlin had mentioned up front, I think that a lot of you on the call, your job is probably to come up with this social content, you know, on behalf of a brand. So you sit at your desk, you have to decide what to put in the brand's blog or in the brand's Instagram. This is a really, really good way to actually fill that, right? So you have all these influencers creating content in their own little worlds, but why not take all of that content and feed it into the actual brand world, right? So this is Payless's blog. Obviously, you can see the influencer created content on the left-hand side, and they use the same imagery and text, you know, within their actual blog posts and showcase the influencer as an author. And then they did it again here on the Instagram account. They actually were posting, in this case, there were 3 different images of influencers created content for Payless, and they were using that and reposting it into their own Instagram account. So really just takes the brand, you know, sort of to the next level, makes people realize that they're involved in this space, that they're partnering with these really key influencers, and whether it's style and fashion or home decor or whatever it might be. So just a really important piece that's not a hard thing to do, just making sure that you're integrating it into your own brand story. So that covers sort of everything we wanted to talk about today. I hope everyone on the phone realizes that there's a lot of different opportunities in the influencer marketing space. It's a really, really exciting time in this space. We're all really excited about seeing where it goes, and we're excited about what it's done so far. I think understand that there's you can take it and get really creative and do all sorts of stuff, but don't be afraid to just start out real simple as well. So you can start with just, a few influencers creating content for you. It doesn't have to be humongous. But then understand that whether you do it yourselves or there's companies like RhythmOne or whatever else that can help sort of take it to the next level as well. But I guess don't be afraid to take sort of the first step.
Thanks, Katie. That was a great presentation. Again, if you do have any questions, please either enter them into the chat window or, again, you can tweet them to us using the hashtag #OneRInfluencer. And we'll take questions now.